Conditioning for ballerina. A few of you requested this one. I'm going to add in a link to the original ballerina tutorial so that you can see with a very good visual what ballerina requires of our body, because I talk that through right at the beginning of that tutorial. I don't have a poll in which to show you that today, so it is worth a look if you're not sure what it is we're working towards. All you need is an exercise band, a scarf, any kind of like belt or band that you've got. It doesn't have to be stretchy, and a little bit of space. So for our ballerina, we are required to have 180 degrees of flexion through the shoulders, so the arms should be able to get up pretty high, and we need a certain amount of internal rotation. There's a lot of debate about how much internal rotation, but obviously the more you have, generally the better it's going to be, because you won't be working at your end range. So internal rotation is where, probably can't see my hands, I'm realizing. You can, so internal rotation, we're going to take our thumbs in towards each other and then out away from the body. And we need to be able to get our hands, they're almost facing entirely away from our body, okay, versus facing towards each other. We also need to have a good spinal twist or thoracic rotation. So this is the ability to turn your chest a different direction from your hips. And finally, we need external rotation through the hips for our leg position. So this is your ability to either turn your feet or your knee out to the side whilst keeping your hips forward. So if you struggle with any of those, it could be holding you back from getting your ballerina. We're going to start with a very quick warm-up, just some basic mobilization, because most of what we're doing in this class is not so intense that we need a super full warm-up. It's going to kind of form part of your warm-up. Okay, so get yourself standing and comfortable, and we're going to just start to look over each shoulder to begin with. Don't force it. Little semicircles. And up and down. And like I always say this in any class, listen to your body. Anything doesn't feel right today, question it, try and figure out why, let me know. Shoulders back, shoulders forward. Bend arms and back, and straight arms, and the other way, and then arms to the side, little circles, other direction, pushing forwards, pushing back, and down, and up, swinging the arms back, and up, and bring them up and down, and in and out, and rotating up and down. Bring the hands in, twisting the chest. Try and keep your hips as forward as you can. Don't force it at this point, still nice and gentle. And hands on hips, little circles. Keep the knees soft. Other way. We're now going to stand on one leg, nice and tall, bringing our leg up. We're going to go slow and controlled. If you've got crunching in your hip, make your movement smaller. And play around with your hip positioning. So okay if you need to hold on to something, we all have days where we can't balance. Mine's today. So play around with the positioning and how big or small or high or low your knee is going if your hip is crunching. Find a position where you've got control, you've got engagement, and you're not crunching. So we don't want to be going really big and really crunchy. For me, bringing my knee higher is better. And we're just doing that little figure of 8. Try to find a non-crunchy spot. And the other leg, and it might be different from leg to leg. Mine's slightly different. Mine pops in a different way on this leg than the other one. And remember, crunching and popping is totally normal and common. If you haven't got any pain with it, I shouldn't worry too much. If you do have pain with it, then you might want to see a physio. Ooh, balance is terrible today. Ah. Okay, if you're still cold, do some running on the spot, do some star jumps, just get your body temperature up, or make sure you've got some warm layers or some heaters on in your room if you've got a cold training space, because you do want to be quite warm. I'm pretty warm today, so we're going to dive in. So we're going to start off with our shoulder flexion. So we're going to work through each of the different things. So today, shoulder flexion first, and then we'll look at internal rotation of the shoulder, then we'll look at our thoracic rotation, and then finally our external rotation of our legs. So we need our band for the beginning. So we're just going to start off in a kneeling position. Keep the band nearby because we will need it in a minute. And hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We're going to take our thumb up to the ceiling, and keeping our head looking down at the mat, we're going to start to bring this arm up. And we're trying not to arch our back as we do this. Keep the spine neutral. So that's not super tucked in, that's not super arched, just somewhere in the middle. Thumb up, we're going to lift our arm, no momentum, nice and controlled, 10 times. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Other side, thumb up, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Come back to sitting, grab your band. So we're going to take our band or our strap or whatever we've got, and we're going to hold it, knuckles on top to begin with, about shoulder width apart, and then we're going to turn our thumbs on top. So depending on your band, we do want some resistance. So if you've got just like a scarf or something, you've got plenty of resistance. So just put your hands shoulder width. If your band is very stretchy, then you might need to put your hands a little bit closer and pull out to get the same amount of resistance, because we do want a slight pulling motion. My band's quite a tough one, so I barely have to pull on it. So for me, my hands go shoulder width, thumb up. But no matter where you're starting, by the time you're pulling out, your hands should be in line with your shoulders. Make sure you keep the spine nice and neutral, so you're not really arching or really rounding and slouching. Think nice and tall. I'm going to take the arms overhead 10 times. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That should have felt quite intense if you were doing it correctly. So we're trying to go as far as we can and really squeezing that band. Okay, last one before we move on to our internal rotation. I'm just going to do a little stretch. So bum up, chest down, reach the arms forward, up on fingertips, and we're trying to stretch our chest and our armpits towards the floor. Look forward at your hands. Might get a little bit of a back stretch here as well, depending on how tight you are. And you might notice one side feels tighter than the other. So pay attention to that. Make sure we're breathing and holding. And coming out. Okay, internal rotation. There's not actually a lot of stretches for internal rotation. I did do some research on this and couldn't find a huge amount, but let's do what we can. So the first one is going to be the reaching stretch behind our back. So for this one, you may need your band because you're probably going to need to use the band to walk your hands closer together, okay, or your scarf or whatever you've got. So let's start with the right side. I'm going to take my right arm over, my left arm behind my back, and I'm trying to reach my fingers together. Now, if you can get your fingers together, great. If you can't, you are going to take your band or strap in your right hand and drop it behind, and you're going to walk your left hand up until you can get as close as you can. And the stretch will be on both arms, but we're trying to focus a little bit more actually on the bottom arm. So usually with this one, people tend to focus on the top. I actually want you to focus a little bit more on the bottom. So almost like you're pulling slightly up with the top arm. Obviously, listen to your body. If it doesn't feel good, then don't force it. And just breathe. Keep yourself nice and tall. Don't arch your back too much or round forward too much. Just tall, neutral spine. Holding it. There are some exercises you can do on the pole for internal rotation with a band, but I didn't want to try and do that today because it would be too difficult to film moving equipment and all that kind of stuff. But I do cover a lot more actual exercises for your internal rotation on the shoulders course. You'll find that in the conditioning section. So do go and take a look at that if you know your internal rotation is rubbish, which it is for a lot of people. And then we're going to relax and do the other side. So now my right hand goes up behind my back. So this side is tighter for me. Left hand is holding your band, throw it back, and walk your hands together. Oh, this side's definitely tight on that bottom arm. And hold. So remember, slightly pulling up through the top arm. You should still feel a stretch in the top arm. So position it so you can feel that stretch and give a slight pull with that top arm to stretch the bottom arm. As always, listen to your body. If it feels too intense, ease off. We're not trying to compete with anyone here. You want to feel the stretch, but not be in agonizing pain. Challenge yourself, but don't kill yourself. Make sure we're breathing. This is really good. Just hold it a little bit longer. And gently release. That side's definitely needing more work. So, next thing we're going to do is our stretch on our back. Let me lie this way. So we're going to lie on our back. And we're going to take our elbow out in line with the pole. So this one can be a bit ouchy on the elbow. So if you want to put something under your elbow, like a pillow or a blanket, you can totally do that. So the elbow is in line with the shoulder and the hand is in line with the elbow. And we're just going to very gently start to take the hand down. And what you can do if you want an extra stretch is just give a little bit of a push on that hand. But we're mostly trying to use our muscles to pull that position. And we're trying really hard not to let the shoulder really rise up. It might happen a little bit, but try not to let it really pop into the ceiling. Try and keep it as flat as you can. And we're just going to hold it to begin with, nice and gentle. Don't force it, just a little bit of a stretch again. Make sure you're breathing. And then we're going to swap sides. So now the other arm, elbow in line with the shoulder, hand in line with the elbow. Gently take the hand down, keep the shoulder pinned. Give it a little push. One side might be worse than the other. Totally normal. Make sure again you're using your muscles too, so you're actively trying to squeeze the hand down. It's not just your hand that's doing the work. We actually have muscle engagement going on. So if we're trying to push our hand into the floor, again, don't let that shoulder really pop up. Try and keep it down. Hold it a little bit longer, make sure you're breathing. It might not feel super intense, it's not necessarily supposed to. And relax. Okay, so that's the main two for internal rotation today. Like I said, there's some more exercises using bands and poles and things that we can do on the shoulder course. Go check that out if you need to. So now let's look at our hip rotation. So we need that to get our leg on the pole. So we're going to start off in, what position am I going to first? Let's go into our kind of 90-90 leg position. So both legs are kind of going into a right angle. We're going to sit nice and tall. And what we're going to try and do is lift the front leg off the floor, okay, 10 times. And then we're going to do the back leg as well. And with the back leg, we're focusing more on the knee coming up than the foot. So if you really struggle to get the foot up, don't worry so much. Focus more on the knee. Try and stay really tall. So front leg, let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, really squeeze. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back leg, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Swap the legs over, do the same on the other side. So both legs into their right angle as much as you can, sitting nice and tall. I've got to say, if you're really struggling to get this position, sitting up on a block or some pillows can make all of the difference. So if you're really slouching and you're struggling to stay upright, get something under your bum. So front leg first, and 10. Sounds so much better. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Back leg straight in. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and relax. Okay, the next one we're going to do, I'm going to go to kneeling. So let me show you from this side first. So we want to make sure our hands are under shoulders and our legs are under hips. And this is quite challenging because what we're going to want to do is, as we lift this leg, we're going to want to like move the hips kind of like sideways. We're going to try really hard not to do that. So we're trying to keep the hips still in the same position. And I'm lifting my leg up and tapping my foot down. So up, foot down, foot up, in. Up, foot down, up, in. Okay, we're going to do 10 on each leg. So find your position. Try really hard not to lean the hips as you bring your leg up. It is hard. As long as you're trying, it will get better. So whichever leg you want to go for first. Let's lift, tap, up, down. That's 10. 9, really squeeze. 7, lost track already. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, 1. Swap sides, other leg, get yourself ready, and 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, that one's always a bum burner. Okay, so last one. We could do the wall for this one, or maybe like the bottom of a sofa or something, just something you can lean your back against. So a wall would be great. So we're going to lie with our bum and our back completely against the wall. So I'm on my side. Okay. And you can prop your head up or just rest it down, whatever feels good, but make sure your upper body is fully relaxed. Okay, so the entirety of my back has contact with this wall. My legs are going to tuck up first. So they're kind of like in a right angle with my body. And I'm going to straighten my top leg. And I'm going to take my top leg up, squeezing my bum, nice and controlled. So I'm not like throwing my leg. Okay, it's super controlled. I'm using my muscles without any part of my back coming off the wall. If you don't have a wall to do this in, just try to be aware of your body position and that you're nice and straight through your spine. Okay, so you're not twisting. So what happens with this one is what people tend to do is they kind of like push their hips forward. We don't want to do that. So opening the leg 10 times. As high as it will go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, swap sides. Other leg. So back fully against the wall. Hold the spine, bum, everything is flat. That wall, upper back. Okay, bring the knees in, top leg straightens. I forgot to say in the last one, try to keep your knee parallel and facing across the room. Okay, so it's like parallel to the ground, across the room. Don't let it roll up, don't let it roll down. Okay, the knee is facing the walls. 10. One side might feel harder than the other. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, last one, 1. And if you've done that correctly, it should be quite a bum burner, definitely. They're worse than your not like standard clamshell kind of exercise, I think. Okay, so last ones is our thoracic rotation. So there's kind of a few options here for the first one. You can either do this with a band or without. If you're doing it with a band, it has to be a stretchy one. So let me show you the band exercise first. So we're going to come to a kneeling position, and we're going to take the band and pin it under one of our hands, and we're going to hold it with the other hand so it's already got some resistance and it's nice and tucked in. Because I'm not going to be pulling from this arm as such. It is pulling, there's not like an active movement. I pull, I get it tense, and I hold. And then what I'm going to try to do, elbows tucked into the side, hands holding the band, is just turn my chest to the ceiling. Okay. So this arm isn't moving, it's coming from the chest, but because it's already tight, it adds a little bit of extra resistance into your thoracic rotation. So, band under the hand, pull it in tight, elbow already into the side. Don't have it lax, don't have it too far back, have it tucked. Rotate from the chest. If you don't have a band, we're going to start off on hands and knees, hands under shoulders, knees under hips. You're going to put your hands behind your head and you're going to rotate just with the hand there. Okay. And it's important that you're really trying to go as far as you can with both of these exercises. You're thinking about squeezing the shoulders back together as you really turn as far as you can. Should feel intense. So I'm going to do the version with the band because I think that's more complicated. Let me just show you the one without one more time. So hands under shoulders, hips, knees under hips. Hand gaze on the back of the head. And we're going to really squeeze as we try and turn our chest to the ceiling. Okay, I'm going to do 10 on each side. So if you're on your band, Pin it underneath your hand that's on the floor. Tuck the hand into the side. Let's go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, swap sides. Whichever one you're doing. Get yourself ready and let's go 10. One side might feel easier than the other. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and our last two. So the first one, we're going to sit up. Still thoracic rotation. I'm going to cross one leg over the top of the other. So I'm going to cross my right over my left. I'm going to take my left arm across my right leg and twist to the right with my chest. I'm just going to hold this. Make sure you're breathing. Your muscles need oxygen. Relax, swap the legs. So now left leg's coming over, right arm is coming across the left leg, twist to the left. Make sure you're breathing. It's hard to breathe in some of these positions because we're twisting the stomach, but we should try and breathe still. Okay, last one. This one isn't super intense, and that's just super tight. You may not feel a lot here. We're going to lie on our back with our arms. I haven't got much room for one of my arms. Spread out at shoulder height. We're going to tuck our knees up, and we're just going to let our hips drop all the way to the side, keeping the knees as high as we can. For me, I don't feel a stretch on this one, but many of you will. If it's super intense, you can take the legs a little bit lower. Okay, wherever you need to feel it without killing yourself. Make sure you're breathing as before. Both shoulders should be as flat to the floor as possible, so you might even only be able to take the legs part way. And then bring the legs back up to the middle and off to the other side for our last stretch. And both shoulders should be flat. Legs go as high as they can. If they need to go a little bit lower, it's okay. Both shoulders flat, let those hips tip over. And again, make sure you're breathing. It's easy to forget to breathe. Oh, gosh. Yawny. Okay, and relax. So we have done a little bit of everything you need to get your ballerina. These are by no means all of the exercises, but it gives you an idea of some of the things that you probably need to be working on. And if you paid attention to what you felt in your body and the stretches and movements that felt the most challenging, that will give you an idea of where you as an individual need to target your efforts and what might be holding you back more than other things. As always, if you have any questions, let me know. And don't forget to train smarter, not harder.